Massive celebrations for President Trump in Florida. Back here in DC, there were no such celebrations outside of the White House for the checks notes totally illegitimate and most popular president in American history, Joe Biden. Lol, can anybody say that with a straight face?
If I was Hunter, I would be filing a ton of defamation lawsuits against these people. If you're a Republican getting rave reviews from CNN and left-wing media appearances, donations from pedo PACs like the Lincoln Project and traitorous Country First PAC who sell out their party, and encouragement from lefties on Twitter, you're doing it wrong. The people hate you. Flower nurse, you got that right. Time to start looking for bricks.
Still dazed and confused that President Trump won more rep votes than any Republican presidential candidate in history. The consultant class and political class that never goes away just can't stand the fact that no matter what happens, we the people are rock solid with Trump.
Full idiots, that's what these elite Republican consultants are. They are a very serious poison to the Republican Party and a huge reason elected Republicans cower and don't take courageous stands for the people. The consultants convince them not to. Pathetic. These consultants are currently scheming ways to push the party away from Trump and others like me. They worship the media and want a centrist or left-of-center Republican Party. They don't care that Democrats are radically changing America into globalist socialism or communism.
These spineless consultants look down on everyday our voters. They can't comprehend that the high majority of our voters, rich to poor, are 100% loyal to Trump and America First policies. They absolutely hate it that our voters are right of center and don't buy lies on people like me.
Do they just go to random word generator to come up with Hunter Biden theories? https://tcoiklpkgehn8. Many of these Republican consultants, the experts, hate Trump and want the party to move on without him. They are clueless and disconnected from real Americans and have to do polls constantly to figure out what our voters think and how to message to them to buy their agenda. Many political consultants are one of the worst part of politics. All they care about is making big money every campaign cycle and giving their superior opinions. They get paid by talking candidates into running even if they shouldn't, and they suck up all the donations. WRL.
Make America warm again. https://tcoz8xkz4lo2i.
Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer are scheming to impose the worst assault on our Second Amendment rights our country has ever seen. It must be stopped. Sign your petition. Stop the Biden gun ban. https://tcofgqngqtngb. Eric 70 62 72 34 yes.
Flower nurse, I wonder if that would work at 25. See how many candles would I need? Looks cool though.
Rolling blackouts from ND to TX have turned into lengthy power outages in freezing conditions. Biden needs to lift his oil and gas ban as we need reliable energy sources. The Green New Deal was just proven unsustainable as renewables are clearly unreliable. In celebration of Black History Month, I would like to educate everyone. Kamala Harris is the first person to pretend she is the first African American vice president. Her mother is from India and her father stayed in Jamaica. She locked up more blacks than any vice president. https://tcokd41hgwlr3.
It's important to get the facts straight here.
This is the MSM. Careful, people might start to think Justin Trudeau is a communist.
Welcome back to the show. And that breaking news on the evacuation of COVID-positive patients from Melbourne's hot quarantine hotel. And just to reiterate, this is COVID-positive patients being moved with garbage bags over their head out of the hotel. Today's Christina Hearn has been leading coverage exclusively all morning. Chris, good morning to you. A major operation underway.
Yeah, that's right. I've already seen one resident from this hot hotel, the Holiday Inn in Flinders, leave. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the bags out first. Then this resident left with a garbage bag over their head. Only saw them fleetingly for a couple of seconds or so. They went onto the Sky Bus by themselves and then that bus was driven away with the driver in full PPE. Destination, the Pullman Hotel, which will be their new health hotel. We have just seen some more bags enter this second bus that has turned up, so we're now waiting for this for another resident any moment to be put onto this Sky bus and then taken away. It appears at this stage they are doing it one by one. The reason for this most likely is because this is a hot hotel, as I mentioned, so all international travellers that are either COVID positive or symptomatic are taken here to the Holiday Inn. The reason they're being evacuated is because of water damage. Sprinklers were activated on Saturday. There is water damage to 4 of the 8 floors, so the decision was made to evacuate 31 residents. And you're seeing this live shot at the moment. We are just waiting for another resident to be put on that Sky bus and taken away. This is going to take hours because there's 31 residents to get through.
Chris, it looked to me like, and this is a pandemic and this is a COVID positive person, is coming out of the hotel with a garbage bag over their head. Not full PPE gear, but a garbage bag. Is that right?
Well, that's right. I can't say for sure whether this is COVID positive. They're either COVID positive or having symptoms of COVID, and that is why they are taken to this hot hotel and out of any other health hotel. This is obviously to put a ring around them and to make sure that they don't give the virus to anyone else. But this, I've been here many mornings. There's police out the front, army out the front on every morning, and so they've obviously beefed that up this morning for this delicate operation to try and get these residents safely out of here, not infecting anyone, not infecting the bus driver, who you'd have to think is most... Here comes some more. You can just see some more residents coming out now, escorted by someone in full PPE.
We're wondering, Christine, why we're not seeing the full PPE, such as the other staff there seem to have better gear on. I would have imagined they'd be in the full outfit. It was just a mask. One person in a garbage bag.
Here we are in the middle of the pandemic.
Just so weird.
Welcome back to the show and that breaking news on the evacuation of COVID positive patients from Melbourne's hot quarantine hotel. And just to reiterate, this is COVID positive patients being moved with garbage bags over their head out of the hotel. Today's Christina Hearn has been leading coverage exclusively all morning. Chris, good morning to you. A major operation underway.
Yeah, that's right. I've already seen one resident from this hot hotel, the Holiday Inn in Flinders, leave. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the bags out first. Then this resident left with a garbage bag over their head. Only saw them fleetingly for a couple of seconds or so. They went onto the Sky bus by themselves, and then that bus was driven away with the driver in full PPE. Destination, the Pullman Hotel, which will be their new health hotel. We have just seen some more bags enter this second bus that has turned up, so we're now waiting for this for another resident any moment to be put onto this Sky bus and then taken away. It appears at this stage they are doing it one by one. The reason for this most likely is because this is a hot hotel, as I mentioned, so all international travellers that are either COVID positive or symptomatic are taken here to the Holiday Inn. The reason they're being evacuated is because of water damage. Sprinklers were activated on Saturday. There is water damage to 4 of the 8 floors, so the decision was made to evacuate 31 residents. And you're seeing this live shot at the moment. We are just waiting for another resident to be put on that Sky bus and taken away. This is going to take hours because there's 31 residents to get through.
Chris, it looked to me like, and this is a pandemic and this is a COVID positive person, is coming out of the hotel with a garbage bag over their head. Not full PPE gear, but a garbage bag. Is that right?
Well, that's right. I can't say for sure whether this is COVID positive. They're either COVID positive or having symptoms of COVID, and that is why they are taken to this hot hotel and out of any other health hotel. This is obviously to put a ring around them and to make sure that they don't give the virus to anyone else. But this, I've been here many mornings. There's police out the front, army out the front on every morning, and so they've obviously beefed that up this morning for this delicate operation to try and get these residents safely out of here, not infecting anyone, not infecting the bus driver, who you'd have to think is mostly. Here comes some more. You can just see some more residents coming out now, escorted by someone in full PPE.
We're wondering, Christine, why we're not seeing the full PPE, such as the other staff there seem to have better gear on. I would have imagined they'd be in the full outfit. It was just a mask, one person in a garbage bag.
Here we are.
Just so weird.
These are the latest state-of-the-art COVID garbage bags designed by the specialists behind lockdowns. He's back to join the End the Lockdowns caucus. Curtin Chim Jordan Gavron DeSantis CDCGOV POTUS G Rebecca.
That flower nurse, damn it, should have kept my mouth shut. I prefer my computer, but I'm now in couch mode.
That flower nurse, thanks for catching the typo pitfalls of using a phone. Buenada TAURUSBTCH. TAURUSBTCH. Buenada people going by shower need mental help love.
Absophobic Eric Hartman Ingrid Killen BOSSB 1000 Gavron DeSantis.
That flower nurse, that's why I'm not taking one. The whole death is also a disincentive.
Eric Hartman Ingrid Killen BOSSB 1000 Gavron DeSantis.
JPLUISI1 also the reason all Western democracies blocked the use of hydroxychloroquine before a single study was fabricated by Big Pharma and disseminated by the MSM that it was ineffective and dangerous. TAURUSBTCH nether one cell element with pronouns supporting BLM. TAURUSBTCH Chiao Dummas.
Buenada TAURUSBTCH one cell elements can't comprehend complex stuff.
My country.
Realize that the American people have not heard from all the expertise that's out there all across our country.
It's what I was allowed to see. Very few people have seen.
Where Vice President Pence to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. He acted like so many people in power do, and scorned anyone criticizing.
That the flu vaccines increase the odds by 36% of getting COVID-19.
We will shut you down, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
A nurse is vaccinated, and just minutes later, this happened.
I'm sorry.
The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. Quibble about the guidelines, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradictory. And so I want to apologize to you.
He believes we'll likely be wearing masks for most of 2021.
Great God. My country.
Realize that the American people have not heard from all the expertise that's out there all across our country.
It's what I was allowed to see. Very few people have seen.
Where Vice President Pence to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. He acted like so many people in power do, and scorned anyone criticizing.
That the flu vaccines increase the odds by 36% of getting COVID-19.
We will shut you down, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
A nurse is vaccinated, and just minutes later, this happened.
I'm sorry.
The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. quibble about the guidelines, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted. And so I want to apologize to you.
He believes we'll likely be wearing masks for most of 2021.
Great God, our King.
Smiles Matter will be part of it too.
Excellent organization offering excellent printable material you need to do groceries in Fort Nations, Ontario.
Dude https://tco2u4hvfumme.
John Dono Van Boy Chim Jordan Gavron DeSantis CDCGOV POTUS G Rebecca Go and Peace Dumb Awesome.
PAERUSBTCH. Of increasing import as Canada's zero COVID crowd are funded by Gates and Ferrers as seed the atmosphere to cool the earth thing.
More significant time revision means as was theorized early in the pandemic and posted by me, it was the lockdowns that created the spikes. Hey Justin Trudeau.
One are scientists who pointed to likely lab created COVID in February 2020.
Samuel Rees Eric Hartman BOSSB 1000 Gavron DeSantis yet.
John Dono Van Boy Chim Jordan Gavron DeSantis CDCGOV POTUS G Rebecca signs are pro forma at most places in Tampa. I haven't used my mask once here to enter any place.
Not what the BBC is saying.
Moi, je vais vous balancer un truc qui va vous faire plaisir, c'est quand j'ai le président au téléphone, pendant le temps encore où on se parle un peu, parce qu'après j'ai été zappé, mais je lui ai dit franchement, avec mon franc-parler, j'ai dit président, franchement, vous attrapez le Covid, est-ce que vous faites le protocole du professeur Hout? Il m'a dit bien sûr, le jour même. Et, alors ça je ne le sais pas, j'en ai pas la preuve, vraisemblablement il a attrapé le Covid, mais je pense qu'il a dû bénéficier lui aussi de ce protocole. Donc comment on peut interdire le 16 janvier, pas celui-là, le 16 janvier 2020, comment est-ce que Agnès Buzyn, qui a du sang sur les mains, je le répète, se permet d'interdire l'hydroxychloroquine, sa prescription, de classer l'hydroxychloroquine au rang de médicament vénéneux au tableau C de la pharmacie? Comment peut-elle faire ça? Elle est très emmerdée, Agnès Buzyn, quand on lui pose des questions, c'est à l'Assemblée. Quand on l'a questionnée, on voit bien, elle décroise les jambes, elle sait plus où se mettre. Et elle finit par répondre qu'elle a fait ça par le principe de précaution. Et on la comprend, Agnès Buzyn, il fallait vraiment avoir un principe de précaution, puisqu'il y avait juste 2 milliards de personnes qui utilisent l'hydroxychloroquine depuis 70 ans. Ça suffit pas comme test. Il faut quand même avoir un principe de précaution, Agnès Buzyn. Moi, je vais vous balancer un truc qui va vous faire plaisir, c'est quand j'ai le président au téléphone, pendant le temps encore où on se parle un peu, parce qu'après j'ai été zappé, mais je lui ai dit franchement, avec mon franc-parler, j'ai dit président, franchement, vous attrapez le Covid, est-ce que vous faites le protocole du professeur Hout? Il m'a dit bien sûr, le jour même. Et, alors ça je ne le sais pas, j'en ai pas la preuve, vraisemblablement il a attrapé le Covid, mais je pense qu'il a dû bénéficier lui aussi de ce protocole. Donc comment on peut interdire le 16 janvier, pas celui-là, le 16 janvier 2020, comment est-ce que Agnès Buzyn, qui a du sang sur les mains, je le répète, se permet d'interdire l'hydroxychloroquine, sa prescription, de classer l'hydroxychloroquine au rang de médicament vénéneux au tableau C de la pharmacie? Comment peut-elle faire ça? Elle est très emmerdée, Agnès Buzyn, quand on lui pose des questions, c'est à l'Assemblée. Quand on l'a questionnée, on voit bien, elle décroise les jambes, elle sait plus où se mettre. Et elle finit par répondre qu'elle a fait ça par le principe de précaution. Et on la comprend, Agnès Buzyn, il fallait vraiment avoir un principe de précaution, puisqu'il y avait juste 2 milliards de personnes qui utilisent l'hydroxychloroquine depuis 70 ans. Ça suffit pas comme test. Il faut quand même avoir un principe de précaution, Agnès Buzyn.
French and brilliant account that Emmanuel Macron, president of France, took HCQ Arizona to treat COVID, and account of Agnes Buzyn when asked why she listed HCQ as requiring a prescription. Jan 2020 answered from Caution GT 70 years and 2 billion patients not enough.
Jim Jordan Ron DeSantis CDC GOV POTUS G Rebecca Nope they don't require any of that nonsense to enter.
Side effects frequent AstraZeneca vaccine suspended in 2 Swedish regions. More regions considering also suspending the vaccine due to seriousness of ensuing sickness.
A double-blind randomized trial from Bern proved the effectiveness of early treatment, notably hydroxychloroquine azithromycin. To share English study attached.
BERNIEFL 41 BOSSB 1000 Ron DeSantis, and you must be desperate cause nobody wants to FCUKU since ages.
Breaking news: I'm hearing an anonymous person from the White House reported Joe Biden thought Kamala Harris was the White House cook, and now she's ready to invoke the 25th Amendment.
https://TCOZS5.g.
How did Mitch McConnell get 40 million in a life of politics? How did Mitch get rich?
Got it to do N01.
Ferret Cato Crit Praxis.
Florida schools are open for in-person instruction. Every single parent in this state has a right to send their kid to in-person instruction. We have done it the right way. We are not going to turn back. What the CDC put out, 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, I wonder why they would do it then, was quite frankly a disgrace. It would require, if you actually followed that, closing 90% of schools in the United States. We have been open, they will remain open, and we are not turning back. We've been open the whole time since August. We had kids doing camps and athletics and all that over the summer. And we've been in person as much as anybody in the country, and yet we're 34th out of 50 states in DC for COVID-19 cases on a per capita basis for children. 33 states have more cases per capita than Florida for children per capita, and many of those don't have a lot of in-person instruction in school. And so there is no evidence to suggest that school kids should do anything else other than be in school. This has been clear for months and months and months. We followed the data when we worked to get the parents the option to send the kids back, because we had looked at what happened in Europe, places like Sweden and all these other places. And it does not require another $100 billion. The school reopening plan that makes the most sense, if you want to open schools, open them. Open the door. Let them come in and let them learn. And the only reason that is not happening across this country, like it is in Florida, like it is in a handful of other states, it's one reason and one reason only. Because the Democratic Party puts the interests of education unions and special interests ahead of the well-being of our children and of our families. These kids have been out of school in parts of this country for almost a year. And if you follow that CDC guidance, they will not go back in this school year, and they may not even go back in the fall. That is a disgrace. That is not science. That is putting politics ahead of what's right for kids. That is putting politics and special interests ahead of what the evidence and observed experience says. So we're better off as a result of giving parents and kids that opportunity. I can tell you, I cannot go out without a parent coming up to me saying how much better it is that their child's able to go to school. And so we're not looking back. We're going to continue going forward.
Leadership.
Brandon Duke 5030 for sure it has been going downhill for a long time. Any time earlier was a better deal. It's just now we have had the internet for 20 years, but apparently nobody bothers to use it well. SB 1000 of Ron DeSantis. I can't remember when I had so much fun in Nick as I had in Tampa 2 nights ago, dumbass. BOS SB 1000 of Ron DeSantis. Which way is Florida FCUKED exactly?
Apologize. Look, I have said repeatedly, we made a mistake in creating the void. We made a mistake in creating the void. When we didn't provide information, it allowed press, people, cynics, politicians to fill the void. When you don't correct disinformation, you allow it to continue. And we created the void not because people weren't working hard, Mike, because you know how hard people were working. And, well, you should have prioritized providing more information. Yes. Yes. In retrospect, we should have prioritized providing more information. I get the operational demand. I don't like to second guess my team. They were all working 24 hours a day. You know, remember where this was? You're in the middle of hell during this time. But no excuses. No excuses. We should not have created the void. We should have done a better job in providing information. We should have done a better job of knocking down the disinformation. You'd never knock down all these conspiracy theories, the political conspiracy theories, because they generate 10 a day. But we should have done a better job of providing as much information as we could, as quickly as we could. And we should have done a better job on that. Yes. And no excuses. I accept responsibility for that. I am in charge. I take responsibility. We should have provided more information faster. We were too focused on...
Who wants to listen to incoherent nonsense?
Parlor.
Still love this bookmark and post regularly on political and health bureaucrat accounts. Bene 1121 Ron DeSantis, what's your point, ugly little dog?
CRWC8 do some basic research. Restaurant staff are mostly young and at extremely low risk from COVID. The flu is a greater risk. Do you stand up for them or for your organization? Bulletin Nigel Farage tonight at 7 on Newsmax. Yes, snownados are now a thing.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott spent more time preparing his state for 500 funerals for George Floyd than he did preparing his state for inclement weather.
Hi everyone, it's Naomi Wolf, and I'm really honored to be here with MPP Roman Boebert of York Center. Welcome, MPP Boebert.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. We reached out to you as one of Daily Clout's profiles in Courage because of your work in advocating for reopening Canada. Before I read the important letter you wrote to the Premier Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, about lockdowns, I'd like to let everyone know a little bit more about who you are. Roman Boebert is the member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of York Centre. He was elected in the June 2018 Ontario election and currently serves as Chair of Parliament's Standing Committee on Justice Policy. Roman is a lawyer called to the Ontario Bar in 2006. He practiced law till his election because he's also very active on Twitter. And he wrote a much shared, much commented on letter on January 15th that started, Dear Premier Ford, the lockdown is deadlier than COVID. The medicine is killing the patient, he wrote. Ontario's hospital and ICU capacity are better than in the last 3 years. I write on behalf of my North York constituents and plead for the millions of lives and livelihoods ruined by Ontario's public health restrictions. The lockdown isn't working, he wrote. It's causing an avalanche of suicides, overdoses, bankruptcies, divorces, and it takes an immense toll on our children. Dozens of leading doctors implored you to end the lockdowns. The crisis is largely limited to long-term care homes. LTC, with all LTC residents in, quote, red zones to be vaccinated by January 21st, Ontario should end the lockdown and the catastrophic toll it's causing Ontarians. And then at the end, I'm not going to read the whole letter, we'll embed it in the blog at the bottom of this video, but at the bottom, MPP Boebert reiterates what two other commentators have found independently, which is that if you do a breakdown of who's getting sick and who's dying of COVID in Canada, the numbers just don't justify locking down the whole country. 70 plus, that's where people really have a risk, but again, it's 0.054%. And so that is the gist of this initial letter. And then 3 weeks later, today, I gather, you wrote a follow-up letter saying, okay, the schools are starting to open, but you know, you spelled out next steps. So why don't we start with why you wrote that letter?
Thank you, Naomi. Good to be with you. For the last several months, I've heard from hundreds of constituents and friends about the remarkable toll that Ontario's lockdown has been taking on them. And I've come to an unequivocal conclusion that the lockdown is doing significantly more harm than good. And I felt that it's an obligation for me to get the conversation started, since we essentially had no conversation in Ontario whatsoever, but not just the risk of COVID, which is a very real virus and can be very risky to certain populations, but also the remarkable toll that the unintended effects that the lockdown may take on folks. And about a couple of hours after the release of my letter, I was expelled from the Conservative caucus by Premier Ford. We have party discipline in Ontario as a British parliamentary system. And so regretfully, I now sit as an independent.
Wow.
I feel very at peace with my decision. It was the right decision. And my intent in writing the letter was to spark this much needed conversation and give cover to additional professionals that are afraid to come out and speak out, to actually come out and speak out. And I'm very pleased to tell your viewers that I'm cautiously optimistic that we were successful, in that for the last 3 weeks, the conversation in Ontario, which is Canada's largest province with 15 million people, has started to change. More Ontarians are gathering courage every day to speak out about the very real toll that the lockdown takes on their life. And since we have heard of many professionals, including 100 Canadian doctors, wrote a letter to all the premiers saying to reopen schools, and every day more people are coming out and saying we need to have a fair narrative not just talk about COVID, but also talk about our public health response.
It seems like you do feel that that first letter and the subsequent conversation that I'm quite willing to believe was emboldened by it helped move the dial in terms of opening schools and other policies to open society? Are there other things underway to reopen Canada?
Just a couple of hours ago, one of the reporters broke a news story that Cabinet is now meeting and considering opening portions of Ontario for February 16th and other portions for February 23rd. This morning, before that, I wrote another letter to the Premier asking that we reopen, that all of Ontario goes back to work on February 16th. But there is no question that the letter had a terrific effect. Public health authorities sought that we hit all sorts of metrics before they would consider reopening. For instance, they wanted Ontario's case numbers to be reduced from approximately between 2,000 to 3,000 to under 1,000. The cases are at about just under 2,000 a day. They also wanted our intensive care units to essentially the numbers they're in to be cut by half. That hasn't happened. We're approximately where we were at the start of the lockdown. But the conversation changed, and I feel that the government is feeling significant pressure to allow folks resume their lives somewhat, because what the lockdown has been doing to Ontarians is no longer sustainable.
Why don't you tell me what a typical day is like for people in Ontario? I mean, we interviewed someone who said, restrictions are so draconian from our point of view. What actually are the rules down there right now?
Yeah. So right now we're under a stay-at-home order. So this is an order enacted by Cabinet, not voted on by Parliament, that suggests that we are not allowed to leave the home except for essential purposes. And that includes school, if there's any, but there isn't any, work, and that means work as an essential service or frontline worker, and workers that cannot do their work from home. Otherwise, if you can work from home, then there's an expectation on behalf of employers that they facilitate work at home. You're allowed to go to medical appointments, grocery and pharmacy shopping, and you're allowed to go out for exercise. But even on good days, the streets in the cities are deserted, and it's simply heartbreaking, Naomi. What's now is becoming apparent, and finally the media is comfortable writing about this, because for some reason there was this dogma not to talk about COVID up until recently, or what the lockdown's doing, is the effect on people's mental health is simply astonishing. I quoted in my letter a study by the Canadian Mental Health Association that found that 10% of adult Canadians, even before the second wave, so in September, before this big lockdown, 10% of Canadian adults experienced suicidal thoughts or feelings.
Sure.
It's 4 times the pre-pandemic number. Among young adults aged 19 to 35, that number is 20%. Imagine 20% of Canadians 19 to 35 are having suicidal thoughts. That's catastrophic. We now have preliminary numbers from the city of Toronto, that's the largest city in Canada and a city where I live and a portion of which I represent, that found that opioid overdoses year over year are up 90%. Drug deaths from all drugs are up 67%. An oncologist at Princess Margaret Hospital, which is Canada's largest, most notable cancer hospital, suggested that cancer screenings are down 40%. So we are diagnosing cancer late, or we're missing a lot of cancer. I had an ER doctor write to me last week who said that he has never seen so many first-time presentations in his emergency room where he's finding cancer, and he has to tell folks that they're at stage 4 cancer and they didn't know they had cancer. And so what essentially I want to do, what I wanted to do with my letter, in addition to starting the conversation, is to get folks to understand that there's a whole equation on the other side of COVID, and that's the lockdown, and what that does by way of healthcare. My letter to the Premier, for which I was ousted from the Conservative caucus, was not about even business or jobs, which are destitute in the province of Ontario. It was about healthcare primarily. It was about the fact that our healthcare has been compromised, The fear is driving folks not to go see their doctor. There is no in-person healthcare anymore. All appointments are virtual. And we need to consider the health toll of lockdowns versus the health toll of COVID.
We interviewed Dr. Patrick Phillips, also a doctor in Ontario, who's also describing people coming in for, checkups, and they were, as he put it, riddled with cancer. And he literally had to tell them that was, they had very little time left because there were no hands on them. So, so you're one of the few members of a government that I've spoken to. We're starting to have members of parliament reach out to us. And I need to ask you directly, why? Like, you were there in the rooms where these policies were being crafted. Who thought this was a good idea? Is keep things as normal as possible, support those who need extra support. So you were there. Why is this happening?
Good question. And I think about that often, even though whenever we discuss public policy, I always suggest, let's not talk about why this is happening. Let's talk about what is happening and talk about whether it makes sense, because very often when folks disagree about why it's happening, they wedge each other a little bit. But here's what I think. This is a remarkable story. This is a historic occurrence. It started with a sensational story of a virus from China. And then folks started dying without us understanding really how much COVID is out there. So now we have this politically correct narrative, and we know that those are very, very difficult to escape these days. And that political narrative is now fortified. It's supported by cancel culture. That if you dare to question the narrative, that if you dare to suppose that maybe this political correctness is not apt at all to the situation, then you ought to be canceled. And so you have very competent doctors, public policy makers, nurses, other healthcare professionals, educators, academics refusing to speak out and say this is insane because they're afraid of being canceled, just like I was. I was canceled by the leader of my party and the premier of the province, but thankfully I received enough support from the people of Ontario to continue carrying on this conversation. You know, we have convinced children that if they come close to another child, may die. We are raising a generation of children that may be afraid of normal life. This physical distancing element, and it's incredibly sad what we're doing to children. And in fact, that was one of the main motivations for my letter. I've heard from so many parents who told me that their child is depressed, that their child is anxious, that they feel estranged from their child, that their child may be gaining weight and not leaving their room, and it's an unsustainable situation.
I mean, thank you so much for that empathy. It's those stories of what this is doing to children that are the most indefensible.
More than 80% of folks that passed away in Ontario from or with COVID for what we call long-term care, basically nursing homes. That's where the crisis is, and that's where the government has failed our eldest and most vulnerable folks in protecting them. But instead of imprisoning 15 million Ontarians and making them sick, what we ought to do is we need to fix the crisis in long-term care. But that's not what's happening. And instead, the presumption is and the suggestion is by government that we're all in danger of this remarkable virus, even though the deaths are primarily in nursing homes and in folks over 80 with one or more existing comorbidities.
I've been shocked to hear people I'm interviewing in Canada, including members of the press, say that there is fear everywhere around them if they speak out. That is not the Canada I know. And that only happens when there's a constricting of the message and penalties for speaking out. So how is that possible that formerly free, open Canada people are scared to have a peaceful disagreement about the right policy steps to take about this virus?
Unfortunately, we're seeing this happening not just in Canada, we're seeing this happening throughout the Western world. And specifically, it's this COVID dogma that has embedded itself so deeply into our thinking that people are scared that their professional careers will suffer.
Right.
As mine have suffered. I practiced law for 12 years, and at least until Parliament reconvenes, I'm chair of the Justice Committee, which is a very interesting, very challenging, and very influential committee, and it's any lawyer's dream to accomplish that. And so unfortunately, that will be taken away from me. And
sorry. But on what basis? You didn't lie, you didn't threaten anyone. What did you do that was so evil that you lose these prestigious roles and influential position in shaping public policy in Ontario?
Well, it's not that I've done something. It's that I'm now not a member of the government anymore. I'm no longer a member of the majority.
But on what grounds can you be expelled for writing a letter that is not threatening insurrection?
So you serve inside caucus at the pleasure of the leader of the party, who's also the leader of the province, the premier, and he has ousted me 3 hours after the publication of my letter. The government accused me of misinformation.
Do you have freedoms of speech in Canada anymore?
No, you have freedoms of speech. I'm still a member of Parliament.
Right.
Just asked not to sit with the Conservatives anymore.
If you could roll out a policy for the next 3 to 6 months, what would it be? What should happen now? What can happen now? Where is there hope? How can Canada regain its democracy and freedom?
So those are two separate questions. The first one is my Corona framework, and the second one is where do I derive hope? So to your first question, I have proposed in my letter the following exit framework out of COVID. Number one, recognize and focus on where the problem is. The problem is in nursing homes. So make sure that you fortify your infection control, make sure that you provide enough staff, and we have staff shortages. The military is offering assistance, we should use that. And finally, ban workers from working, temporary and agency workers from working more than one home. They're carrying COVID from one home to another. So protect long-term care, number one. Number two, if hospital capacity is indeed an issue, and the reason they tell us that we have to stay home is to flatten the curve, to prevent hospitals from being overwhelmed, which hasn't happened anywhere in the world but for Italy, that's number two, build hospital capacity. Number three, be objective and fair about the risk of the virus, and come clean. Come clean on the good news. Know that there's no more good news allowed. Come clean on the fact that it doesn't transmit on surfaces.
Right.
The fact that it's probably airborne, not droplet. That it's probably that we know that there's no transmission outdoors, almost no transmission outdoors. So why do we ban outdoor gatherings? So that's number three. And number four, lift the lockdown. To your second question as to why am I optimistic? I can tell you that I'm a lot more optimistic today than I was before I issued my public letter on January 15th. A remarkable conversation sparked subsequent to my letter. There's a different buzz in the air. There's a different tone in the air. And a lot of people that previously didn't have courage to say COVID is ruining our lives are saying that. And a lot of professionals, educators, doctors, nurses, law enforcement are speaking out against these draconian measures. And so I definitely have hope that as we normalize the narrative on talking about these draconian restrictions, that more and more people will feel comfortable making decisions that are in line with this normalization, and as opposed to the bizarre COVID world that we've been subjected to. And so the key is to keep the conversation going. We just need to have a sensible, well-measured, informative, and fair conversation about COVID, what the risk of COVID is, and what the implications of draconian public health measures are. And once that conversation is normalized, I have faith that we're going to come back.
Fantastic. And lastly, if people want to support you when they're hearing this, how would they do that? Do they go to your website? What's the pitch for support?
If they're in Ontario, then or in Canada, then we encourage them to sign my petition at laurenboebert.ca, which would then help us identify them and get them engaged in our political effort to lift the lockdown. For American viewers, I would probably propose to just just take that optimistic message and remember that we can overcome this challenge, and we will overcome this challenge. We need to continue doing what we've always done, which is have faith, speak our mind, and stand our ground on what we think matters.
Fantastic. Well, we can't thank you enough. MPP Roman Boebert, you can read his beautiful letter and the follow-up shortly under this blog, and you know now how to support him. And this is our 8th profile in Courage. Thank you so much for all you're doing, MPP Boebert.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Pleasure to be with you. Be well.
This is the long-awaited interview with Roman Boebert, member of Ford Nationalist Caucus, until he published a letter questioning lockdowns. The big guy's relationship with China is a national security threat. That's exactly why Joe Biden must be impeached as fully compromised by the communist Chinese, and if remains in the Oval Office they will eat our lunch. Text impeach to 55,444 https://tco9pzuzqyqyk.
Our president was made in China.
We saw you're out of context quote the first time, bro. You didn't need to post it the other 50 times.
Scout terrific. Oops, I was still in shock. They made this claim for Israel, which shows a great increase in infections among those vaccinated. To my knowledge, we'll check Alex Brinson's account as he was keeping track.
Liberals were not always like this. The woke, totalitarian, progressive ideology that has now destroyed almost all of our cultural institutions, our educational institutions, certainly our political institutions, that is a relatively new phenomenon that was brewing at the academic level, and then it just burst forth into society. I was warning about it for a couple of years, and people kept saying to me, no, when these kids get out of college, the real world, that'll set them straight. And unfortunately, that's not how it's worked out.
Liberals were not always like this. Thanks for having me on Mark Levin Show. Full interview https://tcoihtdxfjtbx https://tcoq6qt9g89090.
That lets everybody off the hook. Oh, these cowardly senators who couldn't face up to what the president did and what was at stake for our country are now going to have a chance to give a little slap on the wrist. We censure people for using stationery for the wrong purpose. We don't censure people for inciting insurrection.
Oh, Nancy, you really mad, huh? Oh, so Nancy's so mad. Nancy was so mad. She started talking crap before she even got to the podium. Oh, y'all thought y'all were really gonna convict Trump. Listen, she was so mad. You know you mad when you got something to say, but you can't wait to get to the podium, so you walk on stage talking crap. Girl, you are so emotional. You are not fit to be the speaker. No, Nancy, you need to have... Nancy, here, listen. Have a drink with me. I know you drink all the time, okay? I drink on special occasions. And this special occasion is watching you cry and be emotional because you could not convict President Trump on something he didn't do. So have a drink with me, Nancy. It's a special occasion. You lost. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Oh, God. You know what? Nancy, get over it, okay? You will never, ever, ever convict President Trump.
Nancy Pelosi temper tantrum. I can't stop laughing at Nancy Pelosi throwing a hissy fit. She would like for people on Twitter to stop retweeting this clip of her having an outburst because Trump was not convicted. President's Day 2021 President's Day Trump acquitted. https://tcokyqkjpimnc.
Okay, I just accidentally exposed to BBC television. Medic didn't even know I had it. They claim 97 reduction in COVID of those who are vaccinated. I know it's BS, but does anyone have real numbers?
Random Dude 503. They've been jacking the people forever, no doubt. Sir, did BCS Grumpy Old Frog one? I thought everything was open in Dallas. India, you say. Guys, what is this? Melbourne J. Free, you are stupid in prison.
My friend is suffering a bit. https://tcogl0csh3tdi.
Bill Gates' advice on how to combat mistrust in science at 60minutesovertime.com. Sponsored by Pfizer. Bill Gates' advice on how to combat mistrust in science at 60minutesovertime.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
LilithAssyria is on a roll for good information.
Of course, Netanyahu has proven that he's the most corrupt of all by volunteering his entire population for medical experimentation.
The flower nurse. Okay, now I'm really getting pissed off.
Australia would be very interesting.
Top clubs: Bemporth, JBURNMURDOCHMLEVITTNP 2013 HMMM.
Down horrendously https://tcojy5lmk1w8m.
Jack Pasabeek, what is this nonsense?
Photos: whether I'm the most modest person in the world. Yes, definitely good to have things to look forward to. For now, kicking some political ass, later meet for drinks and tales.
Call ARM 2012. Not so sure about Germany. They went full force crazy on N95 in Bavaria, but I don't think they have outdoor mandate.
Are these people in that FB group trying to discredit Swedish policy? FCUKING Dumpfcuts https://tcocqyfcqzmwx.
Crit praxis. I like how this article starts. Overwhelming evidence suggests mask help reduce spread. Where the FCUK is this evidence, motherfuckers? ESSEXPR people should go to courts if they are denied services. Monococcin 9 vaccines developed and tested for years did the miracle, not this COVID which has been rushed through within 6 months.
Humfort, we need a clip.
Defied.
From taking on big tech to confronting the rising challenge of China, Speaker Sprowls is putting on a clinic on how to execute the America First agenda in state government. Amazing work.
Covered side Alex Prince and Pfizer. So why the FCUK do we need a?
This apology is a bit much. Chris is writing a letter like he ran over a family when he was drunk driving. In reality, he just called for a bit of compassion for a 24-year-old woman who might have made a mistake. Don't enroll in the woke school of reprogramming. Chris https://tcochpvi5bvy1.
So Bachelor host Chris Harrison said Rachel shouldn't be cancelled for the 19th century dress. His comments were fine, but everyone is freaking out and blaming Chris Patterson for slavery. If ABC wants to tackle systemic racism, look at the executives. https://tcok60 concepts.
Mark Kane DZGs.
Raya Spudding BBC NEWS.
Fun President Say Fact. Trump, Nixon and FDR all lived on East 65th Street on the Upper East Side of Nick for a time. Trump in a penthouse near 3rd Avenue, Nixon in a townhouse closer to Lexington, and FDR in a huge mansion between Park and Madison. I love New York. https://tcoxtxmtydykw. Call ARM 2012. I think all of them say you should wear one if you can't socially distance. That applies to outdoors too. Question is, how would anybody enforce it? It's impossible. Grateful Faith 1. Thank you twice.
New word fail impeachment.
0 Haja.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Adams. You probably know me from the simultaneous sip and coffee with Scott Adams that I do every day on live stream. I'm going to start moving my content over to this platform on locals to get away from the influence of the big tech platforms that would like to determine what you see and what you don't see, and have a little bit of pressure in terms of censorship. So there won't be any censorship over here. It's a subscription platform, no advertisements either. And you can send me messages and I'll read them and interact. So you can still see the live streams. They'll be where they always are on Periscope. But if you want a good viewing experience here, you want to be able to play my audio at double speed, which, let's face it, sometimes you want to do that. I do talk a little slowly sometimes. This would be the place to do it, and it has the benefit of supporting the creators that you'd like to support, given that the big tech platforms are not as likely to do that. So I hope you like this experience, and I hope you'll come join me, and hope to see you soon.
If you subscribe to my locals community, these links to my micro lessons on all things useful will work for you. https://tcocjluaninzc.
A Trump accomplishment that could help solve climate change to America on a new fast track to fusion energy. Asia Times https://tcobwgviydIUK.
Just a question for the liberals out there. Exactly how much are you willing to pay for a gallon of gas before you realize America needs to be energy independent?
All over the world, people are now covering their faces in a million different ways. There's a lot of choice about what type to wear. And in some countries, the advice is changing as we learn more about how the virus spreads. So what are the options? Well, a homemade face covering is the simplest and cheapest, and it was promoted in 2020 because of worries about shortages of professional masks that medics desperately needed. This one, it's made from an old t-shirt. It's got 3 layers, so should do a reasonable job of stopping any virus that I might release, which really matters because up to 1 in 3 people may be infected without even realizing. And to make it more effective, there's the idea of doubling up with 2 coverings, one on top of the other, because that gives you more layers to stop the virus getting through. We saw a lot of these double masks on Inauguration Day in Washington. They're now recommended by the US government, but the advice is to make sure you can still breathe easily.
The 2-mask situation is really for high-risk things. So if you're going to be in a grocery store for any extended period of time, if you're going to be indoors with a lot of people who are not part of your household for any extended period of time, you start with that surgical mask. You just put a cloth mask on top of it. You get a much better fit. You get better filtration. It is just much, much safer. You should hold those for high-risk situations.
Even on its own, a surgical mask should make a difference. They're water resistant, so if someone coughs right at you, the virus droplets ought to be blocked. They should provide you with some good protection and others around you, but they don't fit very well. There are gaps at the sides that tiny virus particles called aerosols could get through. You can see how that happens in these lab tests. They show how air and aerosols can escape from around the masks. So to guard against that, there are better grades of mask. They're called N95 in the US, or FFP2 or FFP3 in the UK. They've got filters inside them to screen out those aerosols. In Austria, they're now required on buses and in other public areas. While in Germany, elderly people have been given them for going shopping. These have a much closer fit, no gaps, which means you should be safer, but they are a lot more expensive. While homemade coverings are basically free, surgical masks cost about 10 pence each, while the FFP2 cost about £3. On their own, masks are not going to defeat the pandemic. No one is claiming that, but research shows they can make a difference. Look how far a cough goes when there's no face covering to stop it. So anything that helps is worth pursuing, but they've got to be worn and removed really carefully, and they're bound to be with us for some time to come.
Look, Brits are catching up with the stupidity.
Alex Brinson https://TCOH40ZJ0FQ9C.
It says a lot that Facebook and Twitter purged thousands of pro-Trump accounts plus President Trump himself, and yet happy President say Donald Trump is the #1 trend. Looks like silencing implying about half the nation isn't a long-term political strategy. Bill of Rights shall not be infringed. Congress, what's this mean?
Outkick Claytervis.
AGINNT for many 25 don't cut it.
HPENNYPACKER.
Frankfurt Zach Alex Brinson. The sample is too small to make any conclusions for that level of infection circulating in population. There was an excellent thread about it, but the dude made his profile private, unfortunately.
Real Joe Ilsmley MLEVITTNP 2013 Ben Martin.
Excellent comparison.
So you know.
Photos. Whether I am in fact utterly fascinating, sure, why not recount travel stories in an open pub with no masks. For PRTOMFRIED and bipolar disorder.
Woodhouse 7 has she swallowed of truth accidentally.
The flower nurse down with slime and slime balls been working all day wondering if it's time for my lovely snowpants or perhaps a small reading break by one of my bromeliads. Enjoy your beautiful plants.
Jerry 8227-888, meaning you have a coronavirus fragment but not a whole virus sometimes.
Motherfucking Copeland, I go to shooting ranges all time with friends sounds like someone is projecting since they injure their thumb while firing a Glock.
Chris Kennedy too, that's why it's in the form of a question.
Today I heard a coronavirus testing lab claims you can sometimes get a false positive if there is virus in your nose that never takes hold to become a COVID-19 infection. Is that a real thing? Not talking about asymptomatic infection.
110 chance that guy would accidentally dislocate his thumb if he tried using that gun.
Both Cheney and the bimbo warmonger want Americans to die in pointless wars throughout the Middle East. Could you condemn them for that, Republicans? Why were no Republican senators ever censured by their home states for supporting amnesty? Bird bless him, opposed amnesty. Drop the cult of personality, Republicans. Trump doesn't give a crap about you.
WANSTB. He speaks of it as technique as opposed to branding with capital letters. The big lie suggests he is just speaking opinion. Sensla point must have been something earlier but after the election.
Good, too many Karens in public says it is.
Let's call it like it is. The Democrat Party is the greatest threat America faces.
A Scop is not sure that counts because it was a one-off had to start after the election of 2020 as something coordinated.
Duklangdale link.
Frankfurt Zach.
That what drives me crazy about 95 efficacy. The sample was so tiny, how can anybody make any conclusions from those idiotic trials?
Don't do.
In honor of President Say, I would like to say Joseph R. Biden is not my president. Happy President Say to the greatest president, Donald J. Trump presidency.
I love Publix, it's where shopping is a pleasure.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Shahran Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. I don't need experience, dear. I can only tell you over and over again, nowhere in the world was healthcare system, no matter cool or normal, overwhelmed with this. I consider this discussion over.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Sharan Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. I lived in Israel for 5 years and gave birth to my kid there. They are the country #1 in medical tourism, which means their capacity is large, and even in Sweden, where even locals admit healthcare sucks, there was never an apocalypse around hospitality capacity.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Sharan Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. Does one need to be a doctor to know stuff from all this COVID mess? I see doctors were the least used luck source of information. I know stuff cause I live in Nick, where hospitals were never overwhelmed. Cuomo is Nick's reason for high death toll.
Career officials at Whitehall aspire to promotion under Biden. Cleared per of the stock thing on 119 the day before the Biden-Doyle landing. Teams take control per votes to convict. Few other than a former Intel chair could pull off such a trade. Who cleared him?
Trish the Skeptic, Miss Pacey and Smelly F. Floyd 2 minimum and 5 condoms.
Not taking this and not recommending it to anybody.
Is anybody still clapping?
Jack Pasabeek.
Trish the Skeptic, Miss Pacey and Smelly F. Floyd. She needs somebody to FCUK her brains out. That would help. PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Sharan Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. You are telling me same crap over and over from stupid doomsday headlines.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Sharan Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. Israeli healthcare is better than European or us. Don't start this special situation crap. I have had enough of the for the UK.
Gatitabu N01.
Miss Pacey and Trish the Skeptic, Smelly F. Floyd. Go in peace. One cell element.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikimran Prof Sharan Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. Where did you see that? Newspapers. There was never a problem in the USA with hospital capacity, not even during the peak, and Nick and Fiku should be something like 80 full to break even.
Miss Pacey and Trish the Skeptic, Smelly F. Floyd. Darling, having a bad day or undercuked in general?
Miss Pacey and Trish the Skeptic, Smelly F. Floyd.
Trish the Skeptic, Smelly F. Floyd. Miss Pacey and I am blocked by this person.
MLEVITTNP 2013 Udikaran Profshran Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois Maybe people are dying at home instead.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikaran Profshran Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. Have you seen healthcare system in Israel? They have no problem with capacity cause they always had medical tourism. They specialize in medical tourism.
Looking forward to being a part of this important seminar sponsored by the Nixon Foundation. Conservative Realism Living On and Continuing to Build. https://tcoyjncfakuyw. Mazen Diab Lauren Sams MLEVITTNP 2013 Udikaran Profshran Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. It is not lockdown love.
PEDROOLIVPSMLEVITTNP 2013 Udikaran Profshran Israeli Ran Balasur Siegel Aaron Litlemois. So what about vaccines?
Well, the big lie on college campuses for decades has been that the characteristic that defines America above all else is racism. And so you have this cultivation of a victim mentality where to be a female on a college campus is to be at risk of one's life. Yeah. Whereas in fact, there's nothing more privileged than being an American female anywhere, but on a college campus, are you kidding me? I mean, the whole place is run by females to its utter, destruction. Or to be a under URM as the jargon goes. And I heard today that somehow acronyms are now racist. I didn't get the explanation, but I'm not surprised because everything is racist. But to be a URM, which is an underrepresented minority, is also to be at risk of one's life, notwithstanding the fact that every single college with any kind of selectivity ties itself into knots to admit as many blacks and Hispanics as possible with test scores that would be automatically disqualifying if they were presented by whites and Asians. So this idea that racism and sexism are the things we should be thinking about most and that define everything and are the reason to tear down Western civilization, that now is the driving force in the world at large.
The big lie on college campuses for decades has been that the characteristic that defines America above all else is racism. HMDATMI Part 1 https://tcob7fylz3 https://tcofzmcsc52tx https://tcoc9hbpzgtcf. Pretending to be offended by everything is a type of authoritarianism. If you start apologizing to woke supremacists, you'll never stop. They are sadists who want complete control of everything we do and say. https://tcormtkmkzpry.
The Star Tribune reported the Yes for Minneapolis committee is being fueled by a $500,000 grant from the Washington, D.C. BASED Group Open Society Policy Center, which is associated with billionaire George Soros, according to the Associated Press.
Hate America leftist George Soros is funding the dangerous defund the police movement in our country. https://tcoldrujjortd.
Jordan Schachtel 30 years ago he would end up at a psycho asylum.
Green energy is the biggest scam in the history of the world.
Flower Nurse Gorgeous.
And our writer.
https://tco6cop7u803.
Flower Nurse PS by something good. I don't mean quality, but instead as in good news as opposed to the slime and corruption of the pandemic. The yellow one is my favorite, but SHHH don't tell the others.
DRTOMFRIEDEN dude, I think you belong in an insane asylum.
Girapi 82 Zippo 88 LRRLN NZ9 Switzerland is fully closed unfortunately.
The flower nurse, they remind me of olive trees.
Hey Frankfurt Zach, apparently here it's okay to look at CFR. Andy 50 been gone from public life for more than 1,000 years in my estimation.
At Conwayski JULIAHB1 similar BS as Israel. Adam Anton Arki Wunpan of This Is Greatness Am Lost. Jewish Spacelasser yes. Bill Gates is promoting his new book How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. Want to know what the real disaster is? The Biden administration destroying our country's energy independence to keep the far left happy.
Summary 1 They are liars.
Random Dude 503 Musa 26 Pink https://tcoadfj6yprh5
HSTGONZO yes.
Thyroid MNJREEVE lol, and it forgotten about that dog meme, one of my fav meme platforms lol.
Spacecobos lol, yes.
Musa 26 pink, I hear you.
Alpenstrudel Kyligerspre Random Dude 503. They are guarding that jab with the military. It is basically impossible to get it. They are making sure nobody can fake it since they know so many want to.
Joe 65 80 90 43 spitting on a bonfire lol.
Can't repeat this often enough.
Defied thanks but no thanks.
Point is schools actually protect teachers from COVID. The flower nurse thanks on behalf of the bromeliads, and of course I just bought everything they had and added smiley face balls squishable from the dollar store.
Console founds, I was just joking guys. https://tcoboevqamtxt.
Console founds Ted is refusing to take the L on this one. https://tcobdfyc2j8w4.
Random Dude 503 Crony capital MJ 196410. It's a fair point. Mache media haha great meme.
Thyroid lol.
Time's up Eopal lol, I love it. Crony capital Random Dude 503 MJ 196410. We're here to serve the state. https://tco47tuck0xpi4.
There hasn't been a single day since January 20th that Donald Trump hasn't been trending on Twitter. He will always live rent-free in every liberal's head. LFO to dissident pen person 64932392. They have every exit block.
Yep, don't fall for this PCR-based crap.
Ben Martin Fahave THORSDNWITHL1 Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013. Keetle Faden per thanks.
CJ Cyclist MLEVITTNP 2013. This looks to me like a PCR-based admissions.
Herbivore for Earthwook with goals CJSINNA55. Yep, they are tightening the noose all round.
Carrot 7627 https tcomymriot26k.
Mache media https tcomg6rbwlfrl.
Random Dude 503 Crony capital. They will come for him as well, of course, in due time.
P-Bread and Fox News at least labels their opinion shows clearly. CNN conflates news and opinion. CJ Cyclist MLEVITTNP 2013. In Russia they always do a CT scan of lungs to confirm COVID case. Investments on armed resistance won't do anything with the current state of the people. The only way out is to get people on our side.
Carrot 7627. The freedom and success is palpable.
Random Dude 503 Crony capital lol. See, that's the kind of optimism that'll get us through. Ben Martin Fahave THORSDNWITHL1 Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013. Keetle Faden per exactly. Whole world is dropping in hospitalizations with or without vaccines.
1N0 Qluk 3D Random Dude 503 Crony capital. The people will be begging for more GOVT.
CJ Cyclist MLEVITTNP 2013. I would love to see total hospitalization numbers in Israel since vaccination started.
Musa 26 pink. If I thought it would work beyond a very temporary fix I might, but I know where this is going and there isn't going to be anywhere to hide.
CJ Cyclist MLEVITTNP 2013. We had many people with oxygen saturation because they were panicked as FCUK last spring in Nick.
Frankie Thumper lol McCulture as
Sierra Charlie. Well, the practical effect is the same.
Random Dude 503 Crony capital. My friend, nothing to apologize for. They are putting us in a pressure cooker. Random Dude 503 Crony capital. I've seen all of that, I'm aware of it, but I ask you, what do you think happens when the kids can't be in school and you can't shop at Walmart or get your scripts?
Dissident pen person 64932392. I hate to break that news to people.
Colleague Ulago, I'm sure I will, but what I said is in no way possible to mess with me. It's back to the usual stuff. If they want to go after me for no alleged reason, well, there is no defense against that. Random Dude 503 Crony capital. Okay, I'm not here to convince people. I hope you're right.
Dimwood JHASKINSCABRERA. We know there is very little transmission in schools. We don't want to bring transmission from the community to schools. This woman is FCUK in her head.
DTROY 1776. We violated rule number 1 lol. BULLDOGGRRRL Mikaleligu. Of course, HTTPS TCONEG8LZVREP. Now that the impeachment sham is over, will Democrats continue their strategy of blaming President Trump for everything, or will they get focused on the real issues impacting Americans?
Bempworth JBURNMURDOCHMLEVITTNP 2013 Judging.
Bempworth JBURNMURDOCHMLEVITTNP 2013. Point is that more old people die since vaccination started, or do you really want to rely on PCR positive decrease as a success metrics? Israel had minimal excess deaths throughout pandemic. Judging from this graph, vaccine is their true problem.
MLEVITTNP 2013 Andres K. Ben Martin. Not quite sure what is expected of me to say here. BULLDOGGRRRL Mikeleli was certainly in the beginning, but unlike counterfeiting currency in his case, you will be liable for the counterfeit, not just the one making it. It won't be widespread.
Random Dude 503 Crony Capital. They can't think.
Random Dude 503 Crony Capital. I think people are going to see that most of that talk is about as legit as the two ABS about prying it out of their cold dead hands.
The population appears to be suffering with some form of mass retardation. There is nothing going on that makes any sense in this society, and yet the people just go on behaving as though it does. My new podcast lays it out. https://tcoephrnspbur.
Zoomer Pinko. It need to see it logs to prove that, but even if that's true, she still had CP of her daughter on her iCloud.
ESMITHTAMPABAY totally.
CJ Cyclist MLEVITTNP 2013. I also don't get it, to be honest, and I don't read Hebrew to the level to replicate this graph.
Aratexi Free Jock Fikes or yes.
MRFARMAHINI. I feel awful for Claudia, although we as a society are setting a bad example. If we let this slide, no one should be able to move on like nothing happened a few weeks later if they do something this horrific.
MLEVITTNP 2013 Andres K. Are these hospitalization data based on PCR or amount of people with the actual COVID symptoms like pneumonia? I can't say from the heading.
Random Dude 503 Crony Capital. I hear you. Herbivore for Earthwook with goals. CJSINNA 55 water markets become a big thing like 15 years ago, now all connected to the spraying that's not going on. Random Dude 503 Crony Capital. It is a medical device, not a vax. Anyone who's bothered to look into it will see that, but the idiots think Joe Biden cares about them. Lol, we're dealing with mass retardation here.
Since Kellyanne Conway is trending, here's a reminder that CP of her own daughter was posted to her Twitter account.
Kylie Gerspre Random Dude 503. Yes, very simple process.
Random Dude 503 Crony Capital. They are not going to let that happen. Come on, they'll shoot people full of saline shots and tell them it's the vax way before that if that is not the intended outcome. https://tcozoauxqnabe.
Random Dude 503 Kylie Gerspre supplies, and there needs to be some more time passed to quell the masses with months of stories about what a great success it is. If only we could get the rest vax.
Crony Capital Random Dude 503. Well, I agree the population is weak-willed and has it coming. It's just a shame that the few of us who can see etc. have to get dragged down with them. Random Dude 503 Kylie Gerspre very.
Claudia Wbdumfkik.
This is the argument the impeachment managers should have stuck to. https://tcoygf5sxf4c.
Random Dude 503 Kylie Gerspre. Dude, they will cave like a wet paper sack when their jobs and pensions are threatened. The guy on the right is a professional Republican turncoat that's his whole brand. Tried a million times to get elected to Congress, failed each time. Finally at 60 he becomes governor of tiny Maryland. His name is Hogan. Apparently hates Trump. Swamp loves opers like him. https://tcotskrpg7pav. Pig and shite anonymous and one see so much winning.
Random Dude 503 Kylie Gerspre. What if it's required to make a purchase at the grocery store, then what, or to get your other prescriptions?
This is the argument the impeachment managers should have made, as I explained on Jan 13th. https://tco0f4fv1wa.
BSMITHTAMPABAY dirt grow. I bet them support BLM has a difficulty realizing people die.
Kylie Gerspre Random Dude 503. I've been laying it out since summer in my podcast. It is a simple process to get compliance.
Random Dude 503 Kylie well, watch and see what is your actual choice. If you can't really leave your home without one, how long will people really not do it? They have bills and kids and lives. People will see the resistance will be easily crushed.
HP and NYPACKE are tired to wait.
Dirt Groby SMITHTAMPABAY so.
I agree. Pig and shite anonymous age 1 lol, come on man, the trials will be over and the vax will be heralded as a great success by then.
Ignore the clickbait headline. This is a great interview. https://tcomfetpam1sm.
Makeleligu, it's all simple with a digital ID or scan code on your phone that has to be swiped before purchase or entry or etc etc.
Random Dude 503 Kylie it's not about one shot, that's for sure, and I think you're way overestimating non-compliance once it is rolled out.
Super Kruger, such a simple game they play and still the fools can't catch on. Girl 777 J. Pierce Merton, that Joker is a media use figure and he has big political ambitions.
Colonel Brights 1 Pierce Merton lol, no that's Simon Cowell.
Super Kruger, it's okay, we'll be back to normal soon.
Random Dude 503 Kylie well, they push the limits and anyone who thinks that they aren't mandatory at this point for any other reason is living in a dreamland.
Joe 65809043, just think what would have happened to him without the vax, thank God for GOVT.
JPURNMURDOCHMLEVITTNP 2013 that's his 65 group.
LilithAssyria.
Carib 7627 everything confirms more cases with the restrictions, well that's because we need to do more error.
JPURNMURDOCHMLEVITTNP 2013 look at their excess deaths https://TCOUIXA9HCC0T.
Kylie well, they pretend to be being careful and listening to the public and experts etc, all lies.
Random Dude 503 well, a year ago nobody was wearing masks either.
MacDadvio, it's going to get so bad.
Creators Child Anonymous Age 1, once they have ramped up development and other logistics it is all over.
Hollywood it's Islal.
JSOUTH 305 yep.
Version 64932392 once they are set up to require it, it will be required.
You only have whatever rights the GOVT allows you. If you don't understand this and see how it is not freedom, then you have been fooled by GOVT education and the lies you're swimming in. https://TCOM0FCWBZB90.
Shuprich, I don't like in YouTube videos, prefer seeing people posting their own stuff.
This is James Patterson JP Books, one of the most successful authors in the history of the world. Roughly 400 million books sold. His newest, Walk in My Combat Boots with Matt Eversman of Black Hawk Down fame. Our conversation at https://TCODA15JKEYBH https://TCOTDZ3 Jinan.
Science as propaganda. Democrats turn on each other and how to apologize like Chris Harrison. https://TCOHQXEMZQROS.
KJKELLY Ben Martin Den Rarauras Hadjiyev 1 for Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 Gotketel Fatemper THORSTENWIETHL1 Sure https://TCOV6MAJ1.
The only reason that tests and vaccines have yet to be mandated to engage in normal life activities is because there are not sufficient logistical capabilities and supplies etc. to enforce it. Now once the supplies and infrastructure exist, the fake public debate will be over.
Mamasoras Mig Sparkamark, hey, I don't think it's worth it to engage with some dumpfuck who has 29 followers.
Science as propaganda. Democrats turn on each other and how to apologize like Chris Harrison today on Coffee with Scott Adams at 10 a.m. at daily at https://TCOSQCBBTYWXC.
Simandolin.
Fahavers Haji of 1 for Ben Martin Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 God Keetle Fate Brewer THORSTENWIETHL1 Go Play with Euro Momo Chiao HTTPS TCOFECRWT2OTB.
The American people have not heard from all the expertise that's out there all across our country.
What I was allowed to see, very few people have seen.
Where Vice President Pence to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. He acted like so many people in power do, and scorn anyone criticizing.
That the flu vaccines increase the odds by 36% of getting COVID-19.
We will shut you down, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
A nurse is vaccinated. Just minutes later, this happened.
I'm sorry.
The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. Quibble about the guidelines, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted. And so I want to apologize to you.
He believes we'll likely be wearing masks for most of 2021.
Great God. My country.
The American people have not heard from all the expertise that's out there all across our country.
It's what I was allowed to see, very few people have seen.
Where Vice President Pence to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. He acted like so many people in power do, and scorn anyone criticizing.
That the flu vaccines increase the odds by 36% of getting COVID-19.
We will shut you down, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
A nurse is vaccinated. Just minutes later, this happened.
I'm sorry.
The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks. Quibble about the guidelines, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted. And so I want to apologize to you.
He believes we'll likely be wearing masks for most of 2021.
Great God.
Wow, look at the list of speakers on the Health Freedom Summit starting today. You can sign up here today for free. https://tcohujnrvdayf/https://tco4khaiugvlb. Fahavers Hajiv 1 for Ben Martin Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 God Keetle Fate Emperor THORSTENWIETHL1 Facts My confirming you confirmation bias more old people started dying in Israel since vaccination campaign started than before.
Fahav Mask Ben Martin Rez Hajiv 1 for Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 God Keetle Fate Emperor THORSTENWIETHL1 I know there is a huge excess in 65 group in Israel which started around vaccination campaign https://tcon0xttmci7s. Robottom 74 49 71 48. You're discovering that most people are incapable of critical thought. I'm immunized because I know my history, including climate history and science, and have been fighting stupidity for decades. But your fellow critical thinker is out there and was always in the minority.
Yazoo.
Fahavers Haji of one for Ben Martin Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 God Geedle Fate Emperor THORSTENWIETHL1 Fernando Go Preach About This BS Someplace Else PLS. Fahavers Haji of one for Ben Martin Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 God Geedle Fate Emperor THORSTENWIETHL1 The whole world is dropping rapidly, but Israel is plateauing. JHNHELLSTROM just a BS talk probably.
Brian Rummel, a variation on whoever said carving a statue of an elephant involves removing the parts that don't look like an elephant or something like that. Keep reminding people that the powers that be want the numbers to rise to continue with their agenda, which is why they blocked all early treatment and refused to publicize such things as vitamin D for National and Justin Trudeau are big on vaccines.
https://TCOONHGRKXB6E.
No other part of our body is as capable of expressing such complex visual communication. It's not just a minor inconvenience comparable to something like wearing pants. There's a small group of cells called our mirror neurons are activated both when we perform an action and when we observe another person performing an action. It's what allows us to empathize. A lot of people on Twitter started adding a smiley face. Displaying a smiley face shows that you want to rehumanize people and faces and smiles again as something more than just vectors of disease to avoid. It's focused on rehumanization and positivity. Faces, not fear. You can also sign up for the Smiles Matter newsletter, and we're building up our social media across multiple social media platforms. We're trying them all out right now. No other part of our body is as capable of expressing such complex visual communication. It's not just a minor inconvenience comparable to something like wearing pants. There's a small group of cells called our mirror neurons are activated both when we perform an action and when we observe another person performing an action. It's what allows us to empathize. A lot of people on Twitter started adding a smiley face. Displaying a smiley face shows that you want to rehumanize people and faces and smiles again as something more than just vectors of disease to avoid. It's focused on rehumanization and positivity. Faces, not fear. You can also sign up for the Smiles Matter newsletter, and we're building up our social media across multiple social media platforms. We're trying them all out right now.
The Smiles Matter Health Freedom Summit starts today. I signed up, as this grassroots approach will get the numbers needed to turn this thing around. Smiley faces aren't threatening and more likely to get citizens on board. I've handed out many buttons already.
Sauroxo ratio for the SIA incoming.
You don't need to stream into the comments to science explain to me what science is and how it works. Assume I know that and assume you're missing the point if you are leaving that type of comment.
That's why I've come to see anyone screeching follow the science as operating at a low level of awareness. We all want to follow the science, it just isn't a thing. The best we citizens can do is choose which explainer to believe. That gives us the illusion of being smart.
Science is similar to religion in the sense that we depend on designated experts to explain to the ignorant masses. That's us how to think about it. Science as it is used by the public and politicians has become something closer to a con game. The real science is behind a curtain and unavailable to the public. What we see are humans telling us what to think about the science backed by studies we can't judge.
Are the people interpreting science for us usually right, usually wrong, or something closer to a coin toss? You and I have no idea.
None of us are following the science. We are following people who tell us they can accurately interpret science and create rational policy from it. Sometimes they are right, but you and I can't tell in advance which times those people are right. We only imagine we can.
When you hear someone in the news talking about science that isn't science, that's someone's interpretation of science, and it has the same level of credibility as a political opinion, which is low.
Can't remember when I read something that stupid https://tcownnmua14jfx.
The flower nurse, PS, you started this, so we'll be pestering you for more advice. I love my new plants.
Ladoodles devlinguistic cdcdirector wait till parents get pissed and find another lobbying machine.
KevCall12, he is showing daily deaths, not accumulative.
Jack Pasabik wait 2 weeks. The fake news media fawned over Cuomo last year, calling him America's governor, while at the same time he covered up nursing home COVID deaths and destroyed businesses across his state. Cuomo cover-up https://tcoapun52 kitter.
Devlinguistic cdcdirector, this bitch will be fired hopefully sooner than later.
Convo follow-up to this https://tcowrnpid17sw.
Is the press in the United States really any better at informing its own citizens than the press in China? We assume it is, but our press brought us non-stop hoaxes, narrative distortions, and out-of-context reporting for the past 5 years.
Bob mine deadness 3 guisation no one is.
So California is requiring signature verification for Gavin Newsom's recall, but didn't require it for the mail-in ballots. How strange.
We are one of the best states.
We are the best state.
The classic debate tactic of say the NWORDHARDR then block them https://tcodvhodfl2gk. Bob mind deadness 3 guisish false memories of that type are common. Lots of people remember the fake news of the past 4 years that never happened.
Not taking this ever.
Reminds me of Israel and UA. Samizdatmagopolum is Switzerland is also closed.
Samizdatmag good for you.
Hey cdcdirector, how do you sleep at night? BTCH. The flower nurse, finally my red bromeliad is in my bedroom window on a shelf I built in lockdown just before I bought it, as if I knew I was buying a plant in advance. https://tcox2zzihhvsv.
Junger 73 36 25 14 Godketel Ben Martin for Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 Fatemper THORSTENWIETHL1 Turn on your brain, dear, you seem hopeless.
Jonger 73 36 25 14 Godketel Ben Martin for Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 Fatemper THORSTENWIETHL1 One guy says something and you believe it, naive soul.
Abmask Widewake 1984 Ben Martiners Hadjiv 1 for Alex Brinson MLEVITTNP 2013 Godketel Fatemper THORSTENWIETHL1.
The flower nurse, now this is my orange bromeliad on my kitchen table. The kitchen having several windows and lots of sunlight. Note once again the smiley face ball looks good there ever since the cave in Greece. I have a compulsion. https://tcopwdob2rxxr.
The flower nurse interrupting the news with something good. Smiley face bromeliads. The below is my yellow one slowly changing towards the red. It's in my big living room window onto a sunroom. https://tco0x9uvulelo.
https://tcomwd5coxo.
So interesting, those lunatics who run around crying about Wadabtism. Where the hell did that word come from? The Soviet Union. https://tco07 southeast 3all80. I love exposing Ontario Science Table members. I spent years in Finland. I hear restrictions, lockdowns are very low.
It's not Greece, it's Mitsotakis. Great Reset shill and traitor. Greece's Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has called on the European Commission to introduce a coronavirus vaccination certificate in order to facilitate travel between the bloc. https://tcofg2prmzazb.
Okay, I give this outdoor dining some credit. See this here? This is outdoor dining that it's indoors but with a door, but that's open, so the door is open. So at the very least, this outdoor dining hut is approximately a similar level of safety to a restaurant that has its door open. I've given up on a lot of trying to understand New York. I've lived here for 32 years, and if I try to understand it, it'll either make me angry or make me sad or depressed or... So, I try to avoid on trying to understand it. I just exist within it, you know? I go with the flow. I exist within it. But I will not lose my mind trying to understand it. Oh God. Oh God. Is that really? 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 You built a fucking house outside of your restaurant. Yo. That is a fucking house. What the fuck? Okay, they have the door open. They have the door open, okay. But what is the difference? What the fuck is the difference between this and having a restaurant where you open the fucking door? Look, it has a door. It is a door. There are no doorknobs when you're outside. Doorknobs are when you go inside. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. This has to be one giant shitpost. This whole city. This whole fucking city is just a shitpost to me at this point. This is a meme. This can't keep going. This can't keep happening. At some point, like, reality has to set in. Cuomo and de Blasio just have to come out at some point and say, LOL JK. You know? I'm just waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for reality to set in, and I'm waiting for them to all come out and just go, LOL JK. Look at this shit. You get a load of that. They have a tarp. It says, it's beautiful. So look, they have a tarp on one side, so it's open. It's almost like opening your doors and your windows would do the exact same thing. But that's science! Science! Oh my, you gotta see, what the fuck is this? No! Give it a quick second. Okay, the window is open. So they built a structure. They built a house. This is a patio. This is a den. My God. It's weird because, like, I shouldn't still be surprised by this. This has been going on for months, but every single time I see it, I'm more surprised than the last time that I saw it. How the fuck is this reality? What the fuck is this? It's not outside. Why does everybody walk around like this is normal? Why does no one say anything? Look at that. What is that? I'm living in a shitpost. Okay, see this one over here I can get. See over here? That's technically outside. They've really only put legs and a roof on the structure, but no walls and no doors. So that, I rate that 7 out of 10 outside. Do you know what? No, I'll give that 8 out of 10 outside. Okay, see those chairs over there? I rate that 10 out of 10 outdoor dining. That is outdoor dining, 10 out of 10. No cheating. See that across the street? I would give that a 2 out of 10 outdoor rating. It's saran wrapped, it has ceilings, it has walls, it has doors, and they are closed. Okay, this I give a 7 out of 10 outdoor rating because one of the sides is fully opened. Okay, I rate that 10 out of 10 outdoors. 10 out of 10 outdoor dining. No scheming going on there. All right, Gregory's Coffee over there. That is 10 out of 10 outdoor dining. See? That's outdoors. That's outdoors. You have your table, you have your chair, and you have your green air. There's no ceiling, there's no door. There's no walls. Everybody type F in the chat for Korean barbecue grill. Not only did they get fucked up by pandemic, but they also got their windows bashed in the beginning of June. So the Korean barbecue grill is gone. All right. Well, I'll come up with a solution to this problem. See you all later. That's it for today. And as always, I hope that you learned something.
Nick Outdoor Dining Policy Explained https://tcoawchmukkhj via YouTube.
Red thread down and then up. Still as relevant as the day it was published. Police officers.
Je voudrais parler de la question des traitements du cadre du Covid. Alors, je suis évidemment pas forcément le mieux placé pour avoir un avis objectif, puisque je suis l'avocat du professeur Raoult. Ceci dit, je voudrais essayer de vous aider et de vous inviter à réfléchir, et plus particulièrement les médecins, sur une problématique, comment je vais dire, à laquelle personne n'a vraiment envie que vous vous intéressiez. Je vais essayer de reprendre le débat. On a focalisé l'attention depuis le mois de mars sur la chloroquine. Vous le savez, je ne vous apprends rien. Le professeur Raoult, à la suite de la Chine, a mis en évidence que nous avions un certain nombre de résultats positifs dès lors que c'était administré dans la phase précoce. D'autres lui ont emboîté le pas, je pense aux Américains, à certains Américains, je pense évidemment à certains Italiens, ou encore certains Africains. Et mon propos n'est assurément pas de venir, comment je vais dire, rejouer le débat de la guerre. En fait, je ne vais pas rejouer la guerre, quoi. Simplement, nous avons aujourd'hui une controverse autour de la chloroquine. Nous avons un certain nombre d'études qui montrent que ça ne marche pas, et nous avons un certain nombre d'études qui montrent que ça marche. Alors bien évidemment, on va vous dire, oui mais ces études qui montrent que ça marche ne valent rien. Soit, mais elles existent. Nous avons encore des promoteurs, de l'hydroxychloroquine sans que ça ne pose réellement de débat. C'est-à-dire que ceux qui sont pour restent pour au sein de la communauté médicale et n'ont pas changé d'avis. Pourtant, ça fait débat. Pourtant, ça pose problème. Pourtant, le professeur Raoult est poursuivi. Pourtant, ceux qui oseraient prescrire de l'hydroxychloroquine sont immédiatement taxés de charlatanisme, tant et si bien que sa délivrance en ville a même été interdite jusqu'en juin dernier. Mais, posons-nous la question de savoir pourquoi est-ce que cet opprobre jeté sur la chloroquine n'a pas été finalement celui jeté sur un autre traitement dont on a peu entendu parler, qui est le remdesivir. Alors évidemment, quand je parle du remdesivir, j'entends encore certains médecins dire « Ah bah voilà, forcément c'est le complot ». Ah non, non, ah non, 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 non. Je voudrais juste encore une fois vous inviter à voir les choses telles qu'elles se présentent à nous. Nous avons d'un côté une opprobre jetée sur l'hydroxychloroquine et sur ses promoteurs qui ont dit ça marchait, et effectivement ça ne marche pas, c'est très grave de continuer à dire que ça marche. Admettons. Mais essayons de voir un peu ce qui s'est passé avec le remdesivir. Le remdesivir, c'est le laboratoire Gilead qui le produit. C'est un produit qui, de long en long, revient à la faveur de chaque crise. Il est déjà venu dans Ebola, et il revient effectivement de long en long dans chaque crise. Il a probablement des vertus, mais une qu'il n'a pas, c'est celle d'être efficace. Pour le dire différemment, il n'est pas un traitement du Covid, et on le sait en réalité depuis mars, et on en a la confirmation en juin avec Karine Lacombe qui le déclare solennellement devant l'Assemblée nationale, indiquant que ce traitement n'apporte rien en termes de mortalité. On le sait à travers les déclarations d'Éric Combe devant la HAS, je crois en juillet dans la commission de transparence. On le sait parce que, in fine, l'OMS le dira au mois d'octobre en disant non, non, ça sert à rien, ça ne sert absolument à rien, tant et si bien qu'il sera même déclassifié au sens où il n'est plus un traitement, même probabiliste, contre le Covid. Alors on le sait, ça marche pas. Mais pourtant, alors qu'on le sait depuis mars, en juillet, l'Agence nationale de sécurité du médicament, qui vient, donc je vous le rappelle, donner les autorisations de mise sur le marché, va accorder à la molécule une autorisation temporaire d'utilisation, permettant donc sa diffusion au sein des centres hospitaliers et son remboursement, sa prise en charge par l'assurance maladie, et ce au motif qu'il y a une présomption forte d'efficacité, et le mot forte fait ici toute la différence. Nous avons dans le même temps une autorisation européenne de mise sur le marché, certes conditionnelle, mais avec une balance bénéfice-risque qui est largement en faveur du bénéfice, et nous avons donc des promoteurs du traitement, alors que, curiosité, nous savons que ça ne marche pas. Octobre, la Commission européenne va acheter des doses de remdesivir, en tout cas l'Europe, au travers de l'agence européenne, va acheter des doses de remdesivir, alors que, là encore, il est notoire que ça ne fonctionne pas, et quelques jours plus tard, l'OMS le confirmera solennellement, ici précisé que dans la commission qui a eu à acheter le remdesivir siégeaient des membres de l'OMS. Bon. En novembre, nous savons toujours que ça ne marche pas. Et pourtant, l'AMM, d'ailleurs, le laboratoire n'a même plus demandé l'AMM. Et pourtant, en novembre, ça ne marche pas. Et pourtant, nous savons, au travers de témoignages, que ça continuait à être administré dans les hôpitaux, proposé dans les hôpitaux. Et donc, vous voyez, là où je veux en venir, c'est que nous avons concentré notre attention sur le scandale de l'hydroxychloroquine, médicament qui, il y a 1 an, était sans prescription, vous le rappelez quand même, qui a fait la preuve, à tout le moins, de son innocuité, au sens où il n'est pas dangereux, c'est un médicament qui n'est pas dangereux, c'est un des médicaments les plus consommés, régulièrement pris par ceux qui voyagent, régulièrement pris par les Africains, mais on lui a inventé, on lui a découvert opportunément une dangerosité. Et ça, c'est un point sur lequel personne ne me prendra en défaut. J'ai toujours dit que si la question de l'efficacité pouvait se débattre, celle de la dangerosité était un scandale sans nom, contre lequel n'importe quel médecin aurait dû s'élever. Ça n'a pas été le cas. Bref. De l'autre, est passé sous silence la circonstance que l'Union européenne ait acheté des doses extrêmement importantes de remdesivir, est passé sous silence le fait qu'ont été données des autorisations d'utilisation, donc certes provisoires, certes conditionnelles, mais quand même à un traitement dont il était notoire qu'il ne marchait pas. Aujourd'hui, nous n'avons pas d'articles de littérature qui, de près ou de loin, viennent dire que ça marche. Il n'y en a pas. Aujourd'hui, le débat, il est clos du remdesivir. Et il est clos depuis octobre. Et pourtant, en novembre, on continue d'en donner dans les hôpitaux français. Du coup, ça veut dire quoi? Eh bien, ça veut dire que, peut-être, le remdesivir est-il exactement l'endroit, le lieu qu'on ne veut pas voir, qu'on ne veut pas que vous regardiez par là. Peut-être que dans cette histoire des traitements, le scandale n'est pas celui que l'on veut bien nous présenter. Peut-être que le scandale n'est pas celui sur lequel on a autant insisté. Peut-être que le scandale n'est pas celui sur lequel n'est pas le médicament sur lequel il y a un débat, mais que le scandale se situe autour de ce traitement auquel personne ne veut réellement qu'on s'intéresse. Alors évidemment, un certain nombre de médecins très mal intentionnés, stupides, vont venir dire « Oui, mais on le sait que le remdesivir ne marche pas. Mais si vous savez, pourquoi vous ne vous êtes pas élevé avec la même force contre le chloroquine ? On vous a pas entendu. On vous a pas entendu présenter les défenseurs du remdesivir comme étant des charlatans. C'est curieux. Et nous touchons au cœur du problème. Mon métier m'a appris une chose, c'est que l'excès tue le propos. Mon métier m'a appris une chose, c'est que quand vous voulez poursuivre quelqu'un et que vous voulez jeter l'opprobre sur quelqu'un ou quelque chose, vous allez le détruire à l'excès. Et si vous faites ça, pendant ce temps-là, ça évite de regarder ailleurs. Et le ailleurs, c'est Gilead, qui a quand même eu un chiffre d'affaires qui a littéralement explosé sur un traitement qui ne marche pas. Le ailleurs, c'est une agence du médicament qui, en France, a accordé une autorisation temporaire d'utilisation sur la foi d'une présomption forte d'efficacité qu'elle ne pouvait ignorer comme étant fausse. Ailleurs, c'est l'Agence européenne du médicament qui accorde une autorisation de mise sur le marché conditionnelle sur un rapport bénéfice-risque qui ne peut pas être en faveur du bénéfice. Ailleurs, encore, c'est l'OMS qui tarde à venir dire que ce produit n'est pas fonctionnel, n'est pas efficace, serait même dangereux en raison d'un effet de toxicité. Ailleurs, cette agence européenne du médicament, cette Europe, qui va acheter en octobre le produit, alors que sa démonstration d'inefficacité est claire à ce moment-là. Ailleurs, c'est encore la lettre du directeur général de la santé aux hôpitaux de septembre et d'octobre qui vient dire que vous pouvez continuer à en donner, et ce témoignage selon lequel en novembre, on continue d'en donner. D'ailleurs, est-ce qu'on ne continue pas d'en donner aujourd'hui? C'est une question qui mérite d'être posée, puisque ça et là, j'ai vu que certains, et non des moindres, continuent à se faire les défenseurs du remdesivir. Ailleurs, c'est l'un de ses principaux promoteurs, à propos duquel le professeur Raoult indique dès le départ, il a entendu me vendre le remdesivir dès le départ. Il a commencé au conseil scientifique à parler du remdesivir dès le départ, c'est-à-dire dès février. Eh bien, celui-ci a été nommé à la tête d'une nouvelle agence chargée de lutter contre les maladies infectieuses notamment. C'est cet ailleurs-là qu'on ne veut pas que vous voyez, et pour être sûr que vous ne regardiez pas par là, eh bien nous avons des enquêtes exclusives, des reportages, nous avons des choses assez curieusement finalement, à charge contre la chloroquine, à l'excès. Raoult est un charlatan, Raoult est un tyran, Raoult est un harceleur. Et Raoult n'a pas voulu s'expliquer, donc Raoult est coupable. Raoult a des menaces de mort. Raoult se fait insulter. Son avocat aussi, au passage. Mais si tout ça n'était qu'un arbre qui cachait une forêt plus importante? J'ai pas la réponse. Mais la justice, là. Les scandales de santé publique, ça naît toujours comme ça. Quand on vous pousse à ne pas regarder quelque chose qui cloche. Quand on vous pousse à détourner le regard. Et ici, il est notoire on veut que vous détourniez le regard du remdesivir. Le professeur Raoult l'a compris, puisque j'ai été mandaté, et je l'ai fait, pour déposer une plainte pénale contre X, pouvant être l'agence du médicament, mais il faudra aller creuser un peu plus loin que l'agence du médicament, pour voir s'il n'y a pas une prise illégale d'intérêt. Et en effet, la question mérite d'être posée de savoir si ces faveurs accordées au remdesivir ne sont que, comment je vais dire, purement un hasard, une incompétence. N'y a-t-il autre chose? N'y a-t-il un lien d'intérêt qui deviendrait conflit d'intérêt, qui deviendrait prise illégale d'intérêt? Je ne sais pas. En tout cas, peut-on raisonnablement par ailleurs, en tant que médecin, accepter l'idée que l'on promeuve un produit inefficace, potentiellement dangereux, en faisant valoir une présomption forte, inexistante d'efficacité? Ce mensonge est forcément volontaire. Il ne peut être le fruit de l'ignorance. Dès lors, la mise en danger de la vie d'autrui n'est-elle caractérisée? Eh bien, vous avez là les deux chefs de plainte sur lesquels nous avons fait un choix de déposer la prise illégale d'intérêt, la mise en danger de la vie d'autrui. Nous devons avoir la vérité sur ce qui s'est passé. Il y a d'autant plus de raisons d'avoir la vérité que, alors que les vaccins sont désormais distribués, nous avons le même processus, une AMM conditionnelle, une autorisation de mise sur le marché conditionnelle. Et donc, si l'Agence européenne du médicament a été capable de donner une AMM à un produit qu'elle savait inefficace et dangereux, qu'est-ce qui nous garantit que ce n'est pas le cas pour les vaccins? Ça ne semble pas être le cas. Mais qu'est-ce qui nous garantit, in fine, que ce n'est pas le cas? Et là aussi, quand vous interrogez la question, on vous dit mais bande de complotistes. Et voici que c'est devenu l'argument facile, on vient s'attaquer à la personne de l'adversaire. Complotiste. C'est Schopenhauer. Moi, je ne suis pas complotiste. Je ne suis pas complotiste, je suis ni complotiste, ni anti quoi que ce soit. Plus exactement, je suis anti-mensonge. Et c'est pour ça que mes clients, ce Raoult d'abord, mais l'association des victimes du Covid, là, nous a saisis et nous a dit, avec quelques médecins, on dit, écoutez, on aimerait bien pouvoir porter une plainte citoyenne, médicale, collective, parce qu'à un moment, il y a eu un problème, on a empêché des gens, peu ou prou, de soigner en faisant usage de leur liberté de prescription. De l'autre, on les a incités à promouvoir un produit dont on savait qu'il était inefficace. Et aujourd'hui, on ne veut plus qu'on parle de ça. Eh bien nous, c'est aujourd'hui qu'on a envie d'en parler. C'est aujourd'hui, c'est demain, c'est après-demain. On veut savoir, sans rien préjuger, si nous sommes face à un scandale de santé publique. C'est pour cette raison que l'association mettra à votre disposition, m'a demandé de le faire, une plainte type, je ne sais pas si le mot est juste, mais une plainte que vous pourriez vous réapproprier, en soutien du professeur Raoult, évidemment, mais surtout parce que vous êtes tous médecins, patients, concernés au premier chef, et qu'on ne peut pas accepter de demi-vérité dans cette affaire, et encore moins des quarts de vérité, et encore moins la vérité, et encore moins pas de vérité du tout. Nous devons avoir à l'œil ce gouvernement, nous devons avoir un regard sur ce qui s'est passé, parce que c'est le propre de la démocratie. Quant à ceux qui trouveraient que c'est là encore un procès de plus, quant à ceux qui viendraient nous expliquer que finalement c'est pas bien de faire ça, je réponds, qu'avez-vous à cacher? Qu'avez-vous à cacher? La vérité ne vous intéresse donc pas, à moins que vous prétendiez la connaître. Si vous prétendez connaître la vérité, quelle est-elle? La chloroquine ça marche pas, le remdesivir ça marche pas. Mais alors, pourquoi est-ce qu'on a promis le remdesivir? Parce qu'on pensait que ça marchait? Pas possible. Pas possible. Pas possible. En juin, Karine Lacombe a été formelle. Et Karine Lacombe ne parle pas de Karine Lacombe. Et évidemment que son propos, eh bien, est le fruit d'études clairement établies, et que c'est donc, elle représente la communauté scientifique quand elle le dit. Pourtant, on connaît la suite. Eh bien moi, c'est ça que je veux aller voir. Et c'est ça qu'on vous propose d'aller voir. Les modalités, elles sont simples, ça coûte rien, en fait, sinon à recommander. Et l'association souhaite mettre à votre disposition, m'a demandé de vous en parler, les plaintes sur son site. Je pense que c'est une bonne idée. Et moi, j'encourage chacun, médecin en particulier, mais patient également, à venir faire la lumière en toute objectivité sur ce qui s'est passé. Moi, je ne suis pas à la recherche de coupables, je suis à la recherche de la vérité. Il y a eu trop de mensonges, trop de choses douteuses, louches dans cette crise, pour que ce soit normal. Je trouve que on s'est un peu trop vite acharné sur l'hydroxychloroquine, et à titre personnel, je ne comprends pas ce débat, je ne comprends toujours pas cette hystérie autour de ce produit, et ça cache quelque chose, et peut-être que ce que ça cache, c'est, je vous l'ai dit, cette forêt d'un traitement inefficace qui a été vendu à la Commission européenne, à l'Europe, à la France, et qui finalement a continué d'être promu alors qu'on savait son efficacité. Pourquoi? Eh bien, c'est ça qu'il faut demander à la justice.
5,021 complaints so far.
He used hydroxychloroquine in his protocol because it works.
Hydroxychloroquine. That flower nurse KEVINMD is everyone not against what's happening. The world needs more bromeliads.
The flower nurse Sakbis, they better not set up these poisonous towers anywhere near my beautiful plants. The flower nurse KEVINMD, a lack of spine helps.
I think he can come out now, but I think his handlers are going to have to keep on tight leash. https://TCON4WSBIOKFW. Rahim Qasim, I watched Citizen Kane for the first time recently. I was astonished at how bad it was.
Ron DeSantis is my king.
I met with Governor Noem at several of these events. We discussed the interests and goals of state governments, including Florida and South Dakota, in the COVID response.
Jared is one of the greatest public servants I've ever known. I wish my friend and his lovely family well in their next chapter.
Amusavi Zerovich then specialists. Good night to everybody. https://TCODDKC2RTC.
Alex Brinson, more old people are dying now in Israel than before. https://TCO7IGARNIYJC. 0 to Jeff CUK them.
Heavy the Fry Barnes Law Handler came YouTube dude, what's up with your hair?
Texas right now 0 degrees and snowing me right now. https://TCOYYCLBFBPAJ. Stevities show meatballs.
Pray for the farmers as they take care of their animals in this cold weather.
Tracide food what vaccines in Denmark.
Welcome back to the show, and that breaking news on the evacuation of COVID-positive patients from Melbourne's hot quarantine hotel. And just to reiterate, this is COVID-positive patients being moved with garbage bags over their head out of the hotel. Today's Christina Hearn has been leading coverage exclusively all morning. Chris, good morning to you. A major operation underway.
Yeah, that's right. I've already seen one resident from this hot hotel, the Holiday Inn in Flinders, leave. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the bags out first. Then this resident left with a garbage bag over their head. Only saw them fleetingly for a couple of seconds or so. They went onto the Sky Bus by themselves, and then that bus was driven away with the driver in full PPE. Destination, the Pullman Hotel, which will be their new health hotel. We have just seen some more bags enter this second bus that has turned up. So we're now waiting for this for another resident any moment to be put onto this Sky Bus and then taken away. It appears at this stage they're doing it one by one. The reason for this most likely is because this is a hot hotel, as I mentioned. So all international travellers that are either COVID positive or symptomatic are taken here to the Holiday Inn. The reason they're being evacuated is because of water damage. Sprinklers were activated on Saturday. There is water damage to 4 of the 8 floors, so the decision was made to evacuate 31 residents. And you're seeing this live shot at the moment. We are just waiting for another resident to be put on that Sky Bus and taken away. This is going to take hours because there's 31 residents to get through.
Chris, it looked to me like, and this is a pandemic and this is a COVID-positive person, is coming out of the hotel with a garbage bag over their head. Not full PPE gear, but a garbage bag. Is that right?
Well, that's right. I can't say for sure whether this is COVID positive. They're either COVID positive or having symptoms of COVID, and that is why they are taken to this hot hotel and out of any other health hotel. This is obviously to put a ring around them and to make sure that they don't give the virus to anyone else. But this, I've been here many mornings. There's police out the front, army out the front on every morning, and so they've obviously beefed that up this morning for this delicate operation to try and get these residents safely out of here, not infecting anyone, not infecting the bus driver, who you'd have to think is mostly. Here comes some more. You can just see some more residents coming out now, escorted by someone in full PPE.
We're wondering, Christine, why we're not seeing
the
full PPE, such as the other staff there seem to have better gear on. I would have imagined they'd be in the full outfit. It was just a mask, one person in a garbage bag. So weird.
Now they just need to perform an anal swab, please, to complete the picture.
Yeah, so it must be nice that you can freeze some shit and just walk on it like nothing ain't ever happening. Over there to my hair, well, bitch, here in Texas, bitch, we don't do this kind of weather. This shit ain't funny. I'm slipping and sliding. I'm just trying to make it to the goddamn car. She gonna be all happy singing and shit.
Kathy from Sales Dominion is currently suing a ton of these outlets along with Rudy.
Kathy from Sales not talking about this specifically, but he should go after FoxON and others who pushed lies about him. They aren't just memes, they are life-ruining false accusations.
Proud Patriot 93, what do you mean? Didn't you see that parking lot filled with 15 cars honking for him throughout his checks notes? Again, historic campaign.